Alright, so let's get back to business. Not to defeat the orcs, well, in a manner of speaking, yes, but more about, recruiting.
Orcs fight each other endlessly to climb the highest.
Shame we can't, recruit people by means other than mind control. Sure would help our charisma, eh, Celebrimbor?
It doesn't really care. And and again, considering he's a ghost, I guess he doubly doesn't care. He's like, what are you gonna do? Kill me?
Sure.
Yes.
From them we will build
Imagine, what happens if you kill a ghost? Do they go to super heaven or super hell?
Well, remember, Jova, according to DBZ, or I think it's an anime only kind of thing that they mention, if you get killed in the afterlife, that's it. You're dead.
Yeah. Removed from play, as it is.
This is why Janemba and Kipu are a big threat when they show up there.
It depends on the concept. Because remember, the afterlife in Dragon Ball is based on yokai culture, OG from ancient Japan and shit. In Yokai Watch, they make it so that they can die, but they can also be revived. So it depends on what the writer thinks it would be cool for the specific work that he's making.
I can dig the idea that the anime had with Dragon Ball Z, and like, well, yeah, there is a life beyond death, but if you die in that life, you're essentially the equivalent of removed from play in a Yu-Gi-Oh card game.
Alright, this gets us introduced to another important character, aside from, this particular combat.
So now I'm gonna kill you. For all these orcs.
Oh, cool, now they get to entertain us.
Optimist. Know what that is, mate? It's about
a very soft-spoken Olog-Ai voiced by Gideon Emery.
I'm guessing these two are also preset characters that don't get customized?
Yeah, although the first one is not really important, Jova.
He's dead. Damn.
Yeah.
Dude even got the introduction and everything.
Oh god, it'd be funny if the head still talked after he got ripped off.
I do not Celebrimbor. I'm sorry. Like, sure, he's powerful and everything, but you'll be hearing in a couple of seconds, but Bruz is not one of the characters that are, in my opinion, the best written. Again, he's a bit too jovial, for lack of a better term. You'll be hearing them, but there's a quote that I will be using.
I guess his idea is, hey, he's the strongest, so why not?
Reckon you're going to skewer me. That little sword's good for a tickle, maybe. But you're gonna need more than that to take me down.
Sure.
Well, he doesn't act like it's impossible for us to take him down, so I guess he's a good sport.
Boys, if you notice, he's also immune to stealth, and you even get a special intro, if he intercepts you like that.
Is that... Okay. I assume that for story-driven characters, like, basically everything, their appearance and their character traits are all set, and none of them custom.
But they do have countless, voice lines depending on the situation still.
Okay, that's nice. I guess in a way it does help blur the lines, so you probably won't even notice that they're preset, honestly.
Pretty much.
Especially if you just do one playthrough. Like, I guess the main way to know is if you do multiple playthroughs.
Yeah, obviously. It is technically my second run officially because, I played the game not when it came out, but because I found it on sale later on and he took it.
So were you aware of the quote-unquote controversies by the time you picked up the game?
Oh yeah, well I followed the game marketing and it's the reason and everything. Like Jova, 5 minutes on GameFAQs and similarly will do wonders for you, trust me.
Oh yeah, GameFAQs. You come there
not
for
GameFAQs, again, Gematsu just is a news site. Anyway, since we have, there you go, Bruz on low health, let's do like Pokemon and catch him.
So we can now take a war chief.
You serve the bright lord now.
Bright Lord, Dark Lord. Same thing, really. In Results me ripping spines out,
Huh.
which I like to do anyway, so either way's a win.
Yeah, I'm gonna use a quote from a person that I normally don't like, Video Game Donkey, that says, you know, Lord of the Rings and everything, but I always wonder where are all the Shrek characters.
So I'm curious. Does he know he's being mind controlled, or is this the mind control speaking?
The mind control is more of a suggestion to tell that, you know, Celebrimbor is good, Sauron is bad, fight for Celebrimbor.
Huh. I guess this is the
But
first.
it's still mind-washing, it's still brainwashing, nonetheless.
I guess this is the first time we've ever actually seen story-wise how the characters react, because normally, you know, it's just boom, mind control, they seem to be mindless servants. However, this cutscene shows that the way the mind control works, they're not mindless.
Again, even if it's unapparent now, Bruz loves to do that kind of, you know, fast talk over descriptive humor, and it really clashes to me with the tone of the rest of the game. But we'll have more examples later. Now, one thing that I'm not going to show is that through a set of following steps, like recruiting another captain and everything, Bruz will occasionally pop in and telling you tutorial for stuff that we already know, you know, stuff like, you know, how to recruit a captain, what to do with them and everything. So I'm not going to show those bits because, you know, even if they're technically story related, they don't really tell anything new. And besides, again, it talks like that, so it's best if I just explain it. But anyway, the important part is that now we need to get prepared for stuff like war. That means having to take down an entire fortress with the warships, you know, as their main troops, and the Overlord ruling on top of that. Now, it will be more elaborated in the next part where we actually, you know, prepare the assault. But the fortress is actually modeled each time depending on the tribe the orc is after. Is adhering to. So if it's, let's say, Marauder, it's going to have a lot of shiny metals around it. If it's from the Terror tribe, it will have a lot of corpses hanging around for scare effect, different banners, and the throne room of a fortress will also reflect these too. Once again, giving a layer of personality to each round of the game. What you need to do is to prepare the column on the left with the captains that you do recruit, plus some perks that you can acquire mixed with currency, and then prepare your assault. But that's what we're going to do technically in the next part. I'm just showcasing it here, how it's properly done.
Oh, sorry.
The rest of the part is essentially going to be me trying to recruit people, so we can also start to finally see also the Nemesis system more in action. Go on, Joe.
I was gonna ask, so I'm guessing in terms of recruiting, you can also get like very special types of recruits, given how the Nemesis
again, that
system
depends on the
works?
Nemesis system. We can get, you know, someone like, say, the Bard. Someone, I mentioned in part 2, again, maybe you get someone special because maybe they're covered in, you know, cobwebs because they're friends with spiders, you know. Those might be the special, but again, the core elements that determines an orc would be, you know, these physical appearance, like, you know, the stature, the girth, essentially. What they do wear and what allegiance in terms of tribe, you know, are we part of.
I think the amazing thing is like...
Also this, sorry. Another request that we can do in the meantime is to help Elthariel, because yes, again, we are in touch with following a trail that can tell us what the Nazguls are doing.
This looks like Elthariel's work.
Well, she is indiscriminate. By the look of it, some of these would have made good followers.
Oh, the
We
humanity.
must find her before she eliminates all our potential recruits. Though if she did, we'd have little need of an army.
I mean, yeah. Go on.
The amazing thing about the Nemesis system is, like, keep in mind, all these different possibilities, they spawn from mooks. As in, like, just about every mook, well, okay, orc-wise that you fight,
yes,
can become this custom. And considering how many mooks there are in the game, that is...
If you were looking for ring wraiths, you're too late.
Like I said, I have
But
no idea
before I
what kind of black
engaged him, he
magic
was speaking to an
Monolith
orc who was
does have when it comes to programming
different
complex
than
AI.
us.
But again, as the fear games
well,
also
wasn't
tell,
it?
they seem to be able
Perhaps
to
they
do
can
it.
tell us what is going on.
If we take them alive.
Anyway, going back to what I was going to ask in regards to the recruitment stuff. So, can you ever get any recruits that also spout special dialogue while under your control? Because Bruz is the only one who, again, doesn't act
Well-
mindless and doesn't have his eyes glowing the whole time. Like, I get why.
Well, his armor blue now. I guess that's because of that.
But notice how his eyes weren't glowing. I'm guessing, granted, maybe that's just a thing the game does in-game to make it more clear. But yeah, I wonder if we'll get other recruits that can also spout off quotes while under our control, or is it mainly just, you know, the story bits with Bruz?
Occasionally for the story. When it comes to spouting other quotes, would be potentially for the siege. But again, that's for the next part for us to see.
I will give him credit. Like, again, even if it is mind control, it's interesting to see the other sides of the orcs like these.
For this mission, we need to interrogate worms for the details about these chosens for the orcs.
What are they?
They're called the Chosen! I don't know what they're chosen for!
Cool story, bro. Go along.
You worm!
Yeah, let's leave Elthariel to kick this guy ass anyway.
Did you hear that?
Well, it's not necessary for me to remain undetected, I'm trying to do this for the sake of, not causing too much of a ruckus. By completing this particular quest line of Elthariel, you gain the ability that Celebrimbor could use in the DLC of the first game. Essentially using the Shadow Strike, the teleportation, with the bow and arrow. But for branding instead of, just killing the enemy outright. Which is useful, but I had to say you may get it a bit too late in the game for it to be, completely useful. Oops. As for the rest, like I said, the camps do have the same traps that, were present in the first game. The cargo bait, which does attract, the beast. Same goes for the Graugs, potentially,
In some situations, I could see this game having a bit of a moral meter of sorts, wherein, the more morally reprehensible stuff you do, the more you shift towards Celebrimbor. The more rightful stuff you do, or morally just stuff, the more you slant towards Talion. I could maybe also...
what you mean, Jova, but I can tell you that even, among the concepts that the game, might have had during development, the devs never talked about wanting to have this, so I don't know. It's only a pure speculation. Something similar happened when it came to Ghost of Tsushima that I did, where I talked when the game came out, where it did felt that at some point there might have been the idea of, morality meter of sorts, because the Infamous games did had one, but then it was eventually scrapped towards just a final choice that determines your ending.
Yeah, like, with how different the styles of the samurai or the ninja play styles were, you might think that, but yeah, no, it ultimately just amounts to different ending.
I can speculate that one reason why Sucker Punch, scrapped that properly is because by the time they finished Infamous Second Son, I get the idea that they gotta generate what their audience potentially wanted, because one consistent thing that happened is that, yes, the Infamous game did give you these, different, these two choices of morality and everything, but Sucker Punch, kept a track by via polls, not necessarily online, also Ice and Regal, and they noticed that players tended to choose mostly always the good side rather than the evil side, so I get the idea that at some point they might have found the mechanic useless, I don't know.
Well, to your question, have you played the Iki Island DLC though? Because the Iki Island DLC re-implements some choice-driven aspects.
You mean the one of Second Son?
No, I mean the Iki Island expansion of
oh no, the DLC goes to Tsushima. No, not yet.
Well, they do actually bring back some of that stuff in. So it seems like they took advantage of the DLC to bring that in. So the sequel probably will bring that back.
Remind me, is Ghost of Tsushima complete with all the DLC, or didn't it have something else to
the
release?
Tournament Cycle is complete, so
It only got one DLC expansion, that was it.
and occasional updates regarding the multiplayer.
So what is Sucker Punch working on now?
We must tell
Ghost
Ideally,
of
a sequel
Tsushima
to
2,
that.
most likely. I mean,
Remember,
there's inclinations that the plot might still continue, and combined with the fact that the game sold tremendously well, it's Sucker Punch's highest-selling game by a mile. Yeah, it's pretty certain we're gonna get.
But you have to remember that the first one took a long to make, so we had to expect something similar to that.
Well, remember, unlike with the first game too, they already have the framework laid out this time, so it shouldn't take too much. I mean, it won't take about the same as God of War Ragnarok.
So anyway, the mission told us that the Nazguls create chosen orcs, and then they are actually trying to amass enough chosens in order to corrupt back the Hadir towards Sauron's favors, and we cannot have that, obviously. So let's get to that.
The 3 towers. So what happened to it? So what happened to the 1 tower where it just became 2 towers?
Your fight is folly, Ranger. You accomplished nothing. The Hadir belong to the Witch King. He tracks you, and soon he will dominate.
I don't fancy being dominated by Witch Kings. Thank you very much.
These Murphy leaves from the Dungeons and Dragons movie taught you dictating class because man, you talk slow.
Well, I guess he wants to be absolutely sure that his men will hear his orders. I don't know.
I'll give him this, he still is not quite as slow as Blue Lips. Which is kind of sad in Blue Lips' case, goddamn.
I wonder if he sped up his talking in the sequel to that
Wrath of the
film.
Dragon God did not. Well, yes and no, but only because he doesn't really talk much in that movie.
Did he come back for the 3rd movie as well?
No, but
No.
he gets the 3rd movie might as well be completely separate thing on this one, and he kind of suffers again. In general, the movies do suffer from movie ball effect, and because they have lesser budget, the special effects, practical and CGI look worse.
Oh god, if it's Tio, dare I ask how the special effects for In the Name of the King were, aka the Uwe Boll movie that did have a budget?
It becomes sadder with each passing movie to him.
Yeah.
I meant the first one.
The first one is easily the best one, and even then it's not much. I can tell you, at least personally, I can tell you it's better than, say, the Blood Rain movie.
He somehow got
Those special effects.
He somehow got flipping Burt Reynolds and Jason Statham in that movie.
Also, John Rhys-Davies and Matt Lillard.
Like,
Why do I think that's where most of the budget went?
from what I can recall, In the Name of the King looked like a fine enough movie, but the
It's probably one of
sequels...
his best, but again, it also doesn't help that I don't know much about the source material, Dungeon Siege.
Dungeon Siege.
Yeah.
Although, keep in mind, best of the Uwe Ball films.
I mean, from what I've heard, Rampage is his best movie, but I've
No, apparently also the Postal movie, but again, that's not really saying much because it's Postal. You really have to try to fuck that up.
Can't presume to know
Like, oh right, Postal had a plot.
Surely this Galadriel
Well,
is in the best.
generally speaking, yeah,
Whether she is the best.
but it's mostly about fucking shit up and being as raunchy as possible.
Yep,
So-
like that is...
By the way, can you sign this petition for me?
I don't know, Teo, like, ever since Sony fucked up the Uncharted movie, I'm now convinced that everything can be fucked up with the stupidest of people involved.
That movie had Antonio Banderas in it, and it somehow wasn't awesome.
Not just that, it's Uncharted, like the easiest game to turn into a movie ever. Like, just make it like Indiana Jones. That's it. That's all you have to do. It shouldn't be that complicated, and yet somehow these filmmakers couldn't figure that out.
The problem with the Uncharted movie...
I think it made more money than the actual recent Indiana Jones film.
That's sad.
The problem with the Uncharted movie is, first and foremost, it tries to go way too complicated with things, which... No, for all of Uncharted's story, it never went super complex with stuff. The stories were
not even
generally simple, honestly. But the problem with the movie is, like, it tries to go complicated, like, oh, this is Nathan and his brother's past, all while throwing in elements from all 4 of the Uncharted games. And mind you, I'm not saying that you can't do that. Like, the Mario movie has elements from all different sorts of games, but, like, Uncharted takes, like, plot points from each of the games and tries to merge it into it, along with the set pieces as well.
Well, with the Mario movie, like, Mario games rarely have plots to them anyway, so taking a lot of elements from that, it still end up with a simple plot at the end of it, regardless of what you do anyway.
Alright, I had to talk about these. When it comes to the Chosen, you cannot recruit them.
Oh?
Because being chosen by the Nazguls, they're infused with this trait, Iron Will, which prevents
Shame.
So let's do something else.
Shame? What the heck?
This will be illustrated later in the game, but one thing that you can do is the shame mechanic. You cannot recruit the orc or they're too powerful. You can literally, the Celebrimbor applies both hands and literally traumatizes them to reduce their level. And don't think this is just a gameplay thing.
Yeah, like, that sounds like we're going a little far.
Don't worry, Drova, I'll just show you how bad it can be.
Oh boy. Why do I get the feeling Celebrimbor won't give a single frick?
Well, like I said, the Celebrimbor sees the orcs as nothing more, not even as animals, more as tools,
I could see
things that he can use for his conquest.
I could see that being somewhat of a deconstruction, seeing as how, to be fair, again, to my knowledge, a lot of Lord of the Rings material treated orcs as the brutes, the disposable cannon fodder
yes,
moots.
Tolkien did wanted to flesh them out a bit more, like he said, but he died before he could write anything about it. He did express a bit of regret. Like I said, these orcs are not on the same level in terms of, fleshing out and humanizing them as with the Warcraft games, because like I said, those games actually do bother to go above and beyond and saying that, they're actually a mistreated race.
This idea belongs to the Witch King.
Again, people... Oh shit.
Oh.
Because of stuff like the movie or the fiasco with the recent World of Warcraft stuff or the quote-unquote remaster of Warcraft 3, let's just call it that, people might think that the Warcraft games do not have much to offer, but I can assure you that they do have, complex stories and different kinds of moralities.
I see that you can get randomly ambushed by a Nazgul.
For this mission, because this is the last Heidi, I forgot the pronunciation, the last one is also protected by Nazgul, not just one of their chosen.
Since I don't play online games,
you could still try the classic ones. Those are RTSs,
okay.
RTS.
You could maybe try and get, the fan-preserved ones.
Well, again, if you know where to look at, that's again. It also doesn't help that Blizzard has its own separate launcher, which is like a bit of a pain in the ass.
My biggest experience with is the episode of South Park that Blizzard made with South Park Studios. So.
Yeah, that
was
one actually was really good.
Yeah. But so I guess we can say that at least these games did fulfill Tolkien's wish to flush out the orcs.
A bit, at least, yes. It's certainly, again, not to give Jackson, a scolding for how he did in the movie. It was just, doing what was, adapting what was written and everything.
To give him...
And honestly, he wasn't even, going up, so far to go in the other, direction and say that everybody was fucking racist or something.
Yeah, I'll give Jackson credit. While we didn't get anything like, a good guy or misunderstood orc, at least we did get orcs who could talk and, weren't just mindless goons. So, Even
God,
Jackson
Lord,
did
exactly.
contribute somewhat. I'll give him that.
All right. In the next part, like I said, we'll actually get this preparation for this war properly started and assault the fortress of Durden. So, yeah.
All right then. See ya.
So yeah.